Hi, I've got the flu, so what better time to talk about the top 10 films of 1991? When I say top, I mean my personal favourite films. On a side note, it really irks me when someone's got a mild cold and goes, I think I've got the flu. You don't. You don't have influenza, you don't have the fever, the body aches, the chills. It feels like you've drunk the blood of Kali from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. 1991 was a great year for cinema, so there's going to be loads of films that I've left out, so please do include your favourite ones down below. Cheers. In at number 10, The Rocketeer. This tremendously fun film is one of the best superhero movies of the 1990s. Set in 1930s Hollywood, we follow a stunt pilot who stumbles across a jetpack designed by Howard Hughes. He learns to fly while Hughes, gangsters and Nazis try and get the rocket pack for themselves. The 30s setting is created brilliantly, with excellent sets and costumes. James Horner's score is fantastic, and the cast is simply great, including Alan Arkin, Paul Sorvino, and having a ball as an Errol Flynn-esque Nazi supporting actor, Timothy Dalton.
Everything about you is a lie.
It wasn't lies, Jenny. It was acting.
But my favourite thing about this picture is that our hero never fully gets to grips with the jetpack, meaning every scene is out of control.
It's the Rocketeer.
In at number 9, Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse. Apocalypse Now is one of the greatest films of all time, so of course a documentary about the making of it is fascinating. The 1979 loose adaptation of Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness is a masterpiece, and it was notorious for having a troubled production, so thank God Eleanor Coppola filmed the madness. Helicopters mid-scene going off to fight guerrilla insurgents, the booze, the drugs, the heart attacks, and Marlon Brando turning up overweight and not giving a shit.
I can't think of any more dialogue to say.
Francis Ford Coppola doesn't come across particularly well here. An odd ego pushing things as far as he could, causing chaos. But if he hadn't been that way at that time of his life, we never would have gotten the astonishingly bonkers epic that was Apocalypse Now. In at number 8, A Brighter Summer Day. One of the greatest Taiwanese films of all time. Set in late 50s, early 60s Taiwan, we get a look at the complex political situation in the country, while also getting a complex look at the lost youth of the time. We follow a boy who gets caught up in youth gangs while falling in love. What this film does so well is show violence for what it is. Brutal, sickening and nonsensical. I love over-the-top, silly fictional violence in films, but very few movies show what it's actually like. A few examples are David Fincher's Zodiac, and in Jackie Brown the scene where Robert De Niro shoots Bridget Fonda in a parking lot. And this film is filled with horrid sequences that are totally believable, that don't get you excited but leave you feeling lost and disenchanted. Gang youth violence has always been a problem in the world. Lost kids senselessly killing each other, trying to find a place in the world before ever really living. This is a really long film, so if it was entirely horrid, it would have been unwatchable, but there are plenty of beautiful moments too. It's a tender and tragic Taiwanese epic. In at number 7, JFK. I tend to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, but Oliver Stone makes this film with so much passion that it does make you ask questions. Even if you believe what the film is saying or not, the film is riveting. Kevin Costner plays the real Jim Garrison, an attorney convinced there was a conspiracy to kill John F. Kennedy. The film slowly goes through the evidence, while all the time making it an enjoyable thriller. It has one of the greatest casts of all time, including Gary Oldman, Sissy Spacek, Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau, Donald Sutherland, and even John Candy. In what other film could you have a scene this bizarre starring Tommy Lee Jones, Joe Pesci and Kevin Bacon? The assassination of JFK will always have an element of mystery surrounding it, and this has led to lots of great fiction around the topic, this being one of the best. But my personal favourite is James Ellroy's American Tabloid. It's an epic, nasty, riveting, it's a really good book. Read it if you're so inclined. In at number 6, The Fisher King, Terry Gilliam's first American movie. It was also the first film that he hadn't written himself. After the box office bomb of The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, Gilliam wanted to make a smaller picture. Jeff Bridges stars as a Howard Stern-esque shock jock who loses everything after accidentally encouraging a mass shooting. Now a drunk and working in a video rental shop, God, I miss those, he stumbles across Robin Williams' mad, homeless man who believes he is on a quest to find the Holy Grail. Bridges figures that if he can help him, he might himself find some redemption. Both leads are superb, as are their love interests, played by Mercedes Ruehl and Amanda Plummer. It has plenty of imaginative, beautiful scenes, and the highlight is the only scene Gilliam himself came up with, where everyone in Grand Central Station begins to dance. It's grim at times, but also rather over-sentimental, as many Robin Williams films tend to be. But due to its great cast and visual flourishes, it gets away with it. A really lovely picture. Here are some other notable releases of 1991. Ridley Scott made his first great film in ages with Thelma and Louise, featuring 2 great central performances from Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon, and also a topless Brad Pitt. Martin Scorsese remade Cape Fear with an outstandingly frightening performance from Robert De Niro.
Remember? I know what you did. You're a damn terrorist. All right, just get the hell out of here, huh? I got a goddamn campaign. The one thing you do care about. Okay, then I quit as your son.
Disney's renaissance continued with Beauty and the Beast, and my favourite thing about that film is how multiple performers at Disneyland seem to struggle keeping their trousers up while dressed as Beast. Alan Rickman gave another superb villainous performance in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon. Then it begins.
Why a spoon, cousin? Why not an axe?
Because it's dull, you twit. It'll hurt more.
The first Addams Family had a perfect cast, with Raul Julia as Gomez,
Showtime!
Angelica Houston as Morticia,
Unhappy, darling.
Oh, yes. Yes, completely.
Christina Ricci as Wednesday,
May I have the salt?
What do we say?
Now.
Christopher Lloyd as Fester,
Look, children.
and Jimmy Workman as Pugsley. River Phoenix was amazing as a rent boy with narcolepsy in Gus Van Sant's My Own Private Idaho, which also starred the ever-lovable Keanu Reeves, who the same year starred as Johnny Utah, the surfing CIA...
I am an FBI
agent going undercover to stop Patrick Swayze's surfing, skydiving bank robbers. Dustin Hoffman chewed all the expensive scenery he could as Hook in Steven Spielberg's Hook. And Macaulay Culkin couldn't see without his glasses in My Girl.
And where is his glasses? He can't see without his glasses. Put his glasses on. Put on his glasses. He was going to be an acrobat.
For me, the most underrated film of the year was The Last Boy Scout. You got Bruce Willis at his sarcastic best in this Shane Black-penned, over-the-top Tony Scott buddy cop film about a private eye and an NFL player teaming up. What's not to like?
The Last Boy Scout.
Danger's my middle name. Mine's Cornelius.
There were plenty of big sequels. The 6th Star Trek film, The Undiscovered Country, was one of the best.
Not everybody keeps their genitals in the same place, Captain.
Anything you want to tell me?
The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, was nearly as good as the first.
This some kind of bust?
Very impressive, yes.
Ready for love.
I'm lonely, I'm lost, I need someone to hold, to love.
Frank, over here.
And ready for seconds.
And Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey had the dim duo take on death.
J7.
Hit. A hit. You have sunk my battleship.
Excellent!
And City Slickers, which was fine, but the highlight came at the Oscars, where Jack Palance bizarrely did one-arm push-ups to prove... something.
Then he hits the ground, he does these one-arm push-ups. He even mutters, this is, be more fun if there's a hooker underneath you. I mean, the censor went, nah, it can't be out in the air, that's gonna be cut, thank you.
There were plenty of great foreign pictures. The visually splendid double life of Veronique, Europa, and Raise the Red Lantern. There was the moving anime Only Yesterday, and with plenty of great wire work, you had Once Upon a Time in China. There's probably loads of other really great movies of 1991 that I've not talked about, but I think it's also worth talking about the bad movies that came out in 1991. They were remarkable in their own right. There was Ricky-O, The Story of Ricky. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, had Vanilla Ice come up with a rap on the spot. Insanely, he also starred in Cool as Ice the same year.
Drop that zero and get with the hero.
Bruce Willis came up with the story and wrote the theme song for Hudson Hawk.
Life doesn't get much better than this.
There was the astonishingly over-the-top action film Stone Cold.
Mr. Brian Bosworth requests the pleasure of your company. Stone Cold.
Highlander 2, The Quickening.
Nothing could have prepared them for the quickening.
Highlander 2, The Quickening. What a title.
Sharon Stone starred in the truly awful Scissors.
Sharon Stone.
I'd like you to touch me.
Stephen Railsback.
All you care about your next door neighbor.
Ronnie Cox.
You know the difference between sex and sexual violation.
Michelle Phillips. Scissors.
The ghastly Hulk Hogan starred in Suburban Commando.
There are dangers he's never seen.
Christopher Walken starred as McBain in McBain, where he shoots down a jet plane with a handgun. The worst film of 1991 was probably Dan Aykroyd's Nothing But Trouble.
Pick yourself up a couple of dolls!
But winning the Oscar for the best worst film of 1991 had to be Samurai Cop.
If Akamura is here, then we'll arrest him. And we'll have a solid case against the Katana Gang for hiring 4 assassins to kill a policeman. On the other hand, if it's the wrong house, then we'll apologize to the owner.
Right, so back to my top 10. In at number 5, Boys in the Hood. John Singleton directed this classic when he was only 23 years old. You couldn't tell that such a young man made this film, except for the fact that there were a couple of spelling mistakes in the title. This coming-of-age drama packs a powerful punch. Set in South Central LA, we follow a group of kids into their teens who struggle to get by as gang culture surrounds and engulfs them. You can tell when a film is made by someone with first-hand experience. Singleton based it on his own life and the people he grew up around. This film is full of life, and it's the little details that make it so fascinating. The cast is remarkable. Cuba Gooding Jr., Ice Cube, Angela Bassett, Regina King, Tyra Farrell, and Lawrence Fishburne, who gives one hell of a speech in the middle of the film.
Why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community?
Why?
Tell you why. for the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves.
The movie is a wonderful timestamp of that period, but its message and themes have never stopped being relevant. In at number 4, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Much like Aliens, James Cameron once again directs one of the greatest sequels and greatest action films of all time. The horror of the first film is replaced with bombastic set pieces, remarkable CGI, and plenty of humour. Earth's only hope has now been born and is a difficult kid living in Los Angeles. His mother has been institutionalized because she won't stop banging on about robots and the end of the world. These days she'd be regarded as perfectly normal with reasonable fears. Those bastard robots from the future once again send back an assassin to kill John Connor, this time made of liquid metal. God, James Cameron loves liquid, doesn't he? And the Resistance sends back another Arnold model, this time programmed for good to protect him. At the time, it was the most expensive film ever made, but Cameron knew where to put that money. It looks fantastic. The effects are groundbreaking, mixing the best of CGI and practical effects. I really miss how they used to do that. It has a huge scale. The cast is brilliant. I miss Schwarzenegger as the bad guy, but he is excellent as a lovable killing machine.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Robert Patrick runs as well as Tom Cruise as the T-1000, and Linda Hamilton is tremendous as the no-nonsense woman of action who'll do anything to protect her son. The first film had a neat, near-perfect time travel story about how you couldn't change the past as it had already happened. This film throws that out of the window and doesn't make all the sense in the world, but that doesn't matter when you're having such a good time. It was a real game changer and a perfect end to the franchise. In at number 3, The Silence of the Lambs. A brilliantly horrid thriller. A lunatic is kidnapping women to make a suit out of their skin. An FBI trainee is sent to interview the mad genius Hannibal the Cannibal to see if he can give an insight into who the killer might be and what they want. Jodie Foster is tremendous as the young FBI agent, not taken seriously as a woman in the bureau. And this isn't rammed down our throats, it just shows the upward struggle she has, and Foster plays it brilliantly. But of course, stealing the show is Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, giving one of the greatest villainous performances in film history.
Census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
It's a superb mix of the subtle and over the top, and he's in complete control of mixing the two. Jonathan Demme similarly makes the film grounded and realistic, but knows when to dial it up and make it a true otherworldly nightmare experience. The script is excellent, there isn't a bad performance, and every scene has something that stands out in it, whether big or small. It swept the Oscars, and deserved to. And what's amazing is that a film this nasty did that. You're probably wondering what could beat those last couple of films. Well, these top two are very much personal favourites of mine, and I have a lot of nostalgia for them. In at number 2, Delicatessen. The cannibal films keep coming with this remarkably inventive romantic film about people who eat each other. This Jeunet and Caro film is quirky, cute and nasty, a wonderful combination. Set in post-apocalyptic France, we're in a world where food is scarce and there are no more animals for meat. The film is set in an apartment building with a delicatessen at the bottom, a delicatessen still selling meat, human meat. The butcher hires and slaughters handymen before feeding them to the hungry renters. The newest handyman is a former clown who the butcher's vegetarian daughter falls in love with. Dominique Pignon and his rubbery face are perfect for the lead with a bag of tricks, and Marie-Laure Dunas is charming as the woman not wanting him to be on the menu. Stealing the show, however, is Jean-Claude Dreyfus as the ghastly butcher. It's a vein-free, scary and funny performance. The rest of the cast is amazing, and behind the camera are more stars. The cinematography, costumes, sets and score are all astonishing. Directors Jean-Pierre Junot and Marc Caro were such brilliant world builders. And here we never really know how the world ended, and that doesn't matter. All that matters is this apartment building and an underground vegetarian resistance inspired by the French resistance in World War II. It could be argued that it's a little twee, but the violent subject matter creates a lovely antidote, making this horror romance rather charming. And in at number 1, Barton Fink. One of my very favourite Coen Brothers movies. This is my personal favourite film of 1991 because I love these sorts of nightmarish, stressful, dark comedies.
I don't pretend to be a critic, but Lord knows I have a gut, and my gut tells me it's simply marvellous.
Set in 1941, John Turturro plays Barton Fink, a respected playwright from New York whose agent encourages to go to Hollywood to make some quick money by writing for the pictures. Well, things don't start well, and they get worse and worse. The hotel he moves into is simply hell, quite literally at some points. He is alone, on edge, and completely lost in this world, and he has no idea how to even begin the wrestling picture he is tasked with writing.
I will destroy him!
Devil on the canvas, 12 apple, take 5.
I will destroy him!
12 apple, take 6.
I will destroy him!
12 apple, take 7.
I will destroy him!
His only companion in this crumbling hotel is his neighbour, a sinister, friendly insurance salesman played by John Goodman. As the film goes on, it becomes more surreal and nightmarish, and it's such a joy. What's amazing is that this all came out of writer's block. While they were writing Miller's Crossing, they started to slow down, and wanting to get away from that project, wrote a film about someone struggling to write a film. They wrote the film in mind for Turturro and Goodman, and you can tell, I'm not sure these two have ever been better. Turturro plays the stressed out writer to perfection, right down to his hypocrisy of saying he writes for the working man, but then never actually wanting to relate to them.
Exactly, Charlie. You understand what I'm saying a lot more than some of these literary types because you're a real man.
And I could tell you some stories.
Sure you could, and yet many writers do everything in their power to insulate themselves from the common man.
And Goodman is marvellously frightening and charming as his neighbour. A performance so full of life and character. The supporting cast is also tremendous.
If you need anything at all, just pick up your personal in-room telephone and talk to me. My name is Chet. Although we do provide privacy for the residential guests, we are also a full-service hotel, including complimentary shoe shine. My name is Chet.
The Coens needed a new cinematographer, as their go-to at that point, Barry Sonnenfeld, was directing The Addams Family. And so started the Coens' working relationship with the GOAT, Roger Deakins. They've made 12 films together, and this is one of their most visually splendid ones. He films the hellish Art Deco hotel perfectly. It's a film with lots of questions and not many answers, making it linger in your mind. It's a film I really enjoyed when I first saw it, but with every repeat viewing, I find more and more to admire about it. Or maybe, unfortunately, I'm just becoming more like Fink. Right, so counting down my top 10. In at number 10, The Rocketeer. In at number 9, Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse. In at number 8, A Brighter Summer Day. In at number 7, JFK. In at number 6, The Fisher King. In at number 5, Boys in the Hood. In at number 4, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. In at number 3, The Silence of the Lambs. In at number 2, Delicatessen. And in at number 1, Barton Fink. Well, those are my personal top 10 films of 1991, and there's probably loads I've missed out. So what are your top 10 films of 1991? I'm going to go take a lot of medicine and go to sleep for a very long time. Cheers.